What's going on YouTube? Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. It's a pizza guy John. In today's video I'm going to be showing you a super simple pizza dough that you can make whether you have 24 hours or 32 hours to make pizzas. I'm going to show you guys a dough recipe, basically my go-to recipe that I use when I want pizzas and I want it, within, like I said, 32 hours or 24 hours. This recipe is basically formulated based on the baker's percentage, so I'll go ahead and place down all the information down below in the description box, but I'm not going to go into too much details with it. I'm just going to go straight into the actual amount of ingredients that we need for this pizza. As you can see here, it's going to make 4 pizzas at around 260 grams. You could go less, you could go more. Again, depending on how many pizzas you want, that's up to you. It is a 65% hydration dough, and I'm looking at about 24. I'm gonna go probably about 32 hours of fermentation. I'll kind of show you how I do that as well. So let's get down into how much we need of each ingredient. So I have all my stuff weighed out. As you can see, it's all weighed out here in front of me. I got my big bowl and I got 2 little small containers here and my water. Here is my 00 flour. If you don't have 00 flour, that is fine. You could go ahead and use an all-purpose flour or bread flour. Again, it's up to you and what you have available to you as well. But here in this bowl, we have 621 grams of flour. Again, this is a 00 Caputo Pizzeria flour. So that's again weighed out here as 621 grams. Next, we have our yeast. Again, this is about 2% or actually 3% yeast to the formula of, again, the amount of flour. And so this is about 1.86 grams of yeast. And again, I highly recommend, if you don't have a small scale like this, I highly recommend getting one, because again, you want to make sure that you're being precise, to the point, to the hundreds. That way, again, your recipe is consistent. So again, this is 1.86 grams of yeast, and here we have 12.42 grams of salt. You could use the sea salt, you could use fine salt, again, whatever you have available. Again, this recipe is made simple for you. And over here we have 404 grams of water. So as my recipe shows, 403, but I went ahead and went with 404. Again, it doesn't change anything. Again, it's still going to be 65% water. So let's go ahead and let me show you now what we do with all this. All right, so now that we have everything weighed out, makes it super simple if you weigh out everything individually, so that way you're not spending too much time having to get everything together. But again, we're gonna go ahead straight with our yeast. This is an instant yeast, so I don't have to activate it in anything. Again, if you were using an instant yeast, an active instant yeast, and of course you want to activate that using your water, but because this is an instant yeast, I don't need to do that. But what I do want to do is just kind of mix it around and make sure that it's all in the flour here. This is just a bread whisk. I'll go ahead and link that down as well. But I'm just getting that mixed in, spread it around, and we're gonna add all of our water. We're gonna basically want to add about let's do about 3/4 of our water. I'll do a little bit more, save the rest for later. I'm not adding our salt. And just for reference, the water was around 42 degrees Fahrenheit. So just depending on where you're at. I know right now here where I'm at, it's summertime, so it does get hot. So I just want some cold water just to kind of help out with the fermentation. If I was hot, if it was a little bit more warm tap water, it's going to be a lot stickier. Your hands are warm, and it's just going to ferment the dough a little bit quicker while you're kneading it, and it's just going to overheat the dough. So make sure, again, just kind of making sure what your temperature is inside, getting some cold water, or again, water straight from the fridge if you have something like that, or some tap water. But we're just going to go ahead and get this mixed around. And again, if you don't have one of these whisks, then of course you could just use your hands. If you have a mixer, then of course you could do it in a mixer. Mixing time does cut down just a little bit, but again, you just want to make sure that, again, if you don't have that, you're using your hands as well, which is a lot funner because you get to fill the dough and know, where it's properly at that point. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get this flour off this, and then now we're gonna go ahead and get our hands dirty, and we're gonna be starting to knead with our hands. Again, I like to keep it all within this large bowl here. I don't necessarily need to knead on a counter. One, you know, if you don't want to clean up such a big mess, then of course invest in a big bowl. That way it's easier just to kind of keep everything in here. But of course, if you don't have a big enough bowl like this, then of course you would need on your surface here. But again, it's just easy to just knead in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start kneading this. And we're looking probably, I don't know, anywhere between 8 to 10 minutes of kneading. And again, you're just making sure that you're getting all the dry incorporated in here. And you're looking for really a smooth ball. So I'm gonna go ahead and just knead this maybe for about 6 minutes or so, and then I'll come back. At that point we'll add our salt and the rest of our water, so I'll show you how that is here shortly. All right, so we're about 7 minutes into kneading. As you can see, the dough is a lot smoother, not fully smooth, but we're gonna go ahead now and add the rest of the salt. And again, if you're not out of breath, you're not kneading for a long time. So again, make sure you're kneading for a long time, and making sure you're getting that, building that gluten. All right, so once you got the salt in, at this point you could add the rest of your water. This is just gonna help dissolve the salt as well. So we're gonna get that there, and basically what I'm doing is I'm just adding, just kind of pinching it with my hands. This is just getting the water into the dough, as well as mixing that salt in as well. So I'm going to do this for a couple minutes, as well as start kneading it. And again, it's going to be a little hard because it's going to be wet. But again, just after maybe 2 to 3 minutes of kneading it fully, the water will get in there, and then you'll have a more smoother dough. So we'll be back shortly. So at this point, I've been kneading the dough now for altogether now maybe around 9 minutes or so. The dough is fully come together. There's no more water. It's a little sticky, so what I like to do at this point, again, it's not necessary, but I feel that it also helps build the gluten, relaxes the dough a little bit. I'll go ahead and get this covered with a towel for about 15 minutes or so. After that, then I'll do some more kneading of it, and then I'll do maybe 1 or 2 more resting periods of 15 minutes. And again, this just helps build the gluten, relaxes it, and just makes overall a strong dough. So we'll rest this for 15 minutes and we'll come back. All right, so 15 minutes has gone by. As you can see, the dough is a little bit more relaxed, and it's not going to be as sticky. So again, just by allowing it to rest for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, again, you're just allowing it to relax a little bit, build some more of that gluten, and again, it just kind of helps with the stickiness as well. So let's go ahead and we're just going to do a couple of kneads. You could do stretch and folds, anything really at this point, but we'll do this a couple of times. And you can see that the dough already looking a lot smoother. So let's go ahead and knead it a couple more times as well. All right, so now that we've kneaded it just for about a minute or two, again, the dough is very smooth, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna let this rest and cover for another 15 more minutes. After 15 more minutes, then we'll come back, and that should be pretty good. And I'll go ahead and show you how that looks after the next 15 minutes. So we'll be back. All right, so now we're about the 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look at this dough. As you can see, if I'm pulling it apart, it seems to be really strong. So it's now ripping. So at this point, the dough is ready to go do its first 12-hour fermentation. Cold ferment, so basically it's just gonna go into the fridge. So I'm gonna go ahead and basically just ball this up into like a big dough ball. Making sure that I'm pulling it tight. And right here next to me, I do have a plastic container that has a little bit of olive oil in there. This just is going to keep it from sticking. But again, I'm going to go ahead and just ball this up. As you can see, just like that. Place it into our container. We'll place this in the fridge for 12 hours and we'll come back soon. All right, so it's now been 24 hours later. The dough has been sitting in the fridge. We're gonna go ahead and take it out and now go ahead and ball it up. So let's do that. And before we do, let's get a little quick weigh to see what we're looking at. It's about 1020. All right, so we're gonna do about 270 grams. Too much. And the dough feels nice, it feels airy. And again, you could do any size that you feel. For me, I like to do about 270 for a good 12-inch pizza. 71. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this balled up, and I'm gonna put these into a container, whatever type of container that you have. And then you could either, again, at this point, do 6 hours at room temp before you make your pizzas, or if you're running out of time, then you go ahead and put it in the fridge for another 24 hours. But again, the dough should be pretty simple. So if you want pizzas ready within 6 hours, of course, leave them at room temp, allow them to double, and then you'll be able to make pizzas. Stick around and watch part 2 of pizzas being made with this dough. For now, like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Instagram at The Pizza Guy John, and we'll talk there.